A few months ago, an article was written in a small magazine. It was just a couple of pages about belted Galloway beef cattle. But the response to the article was tremendous. Enthusiastic readers wrote and called from all over North America to find out more information.
Of course, the first thing is its striking color. It's got a white belt.
How exciting. It looks like an Oreo cookie.
If I want to get Dwight a little upset, I'll just call him out and ask him how his Oreos are doing.
The Oreo what? Moo, moo, moo.
Most people have never seen cattle like these. Their unique stripe makes them seem exotic and bizarre. But underneath an unusual exterior, this is an animal with many of the traits beef breeders demand. One of these traits is a good, even temperament. Andy LeMater is president of the Belted Galloway Society and has been raising belted Galloways for the past 10 years.
I think one of the key things you could say to somebody that's interested in cattle, period, is that belted Galloways as a breed are a very docile breed. They're very easy to get along with, if managed in a reasonable way.
They're easy cattle to work with. And it's a joy to work with cattle that are easy to work with. Believe me, I've seen some others.
Their personality is special. And another aspect to their personality that makes them easier to work with is that they're excellent mothers. Farm manager Dwight Howard has been working with belted Galloways for 25 years.
They're real good mothers, and they work hard when it comes time to calving. They don't give up if it's a little hard calving. Just the structure of the belted Galloway. The pelvic area seems to be large enough so that the calf has an easy time coming out. The calves have a fairly small head and small shoulders. Makes it much easier at calving.
A belted Galloway produces enough milk so that a calf can be weaned from the mother at half the mother's weight in 205 days.
Who's that coming down the street? Who's that looking so petite? Who's that coming down to meet me here? Who's that? You know who I mean. Sweetest who you've ever seen. I could tell her miles away from here. Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now.
One of the things that I've seen time and time again is that a mother, the ability for a mother to look after its calf, and that instinct that not only will she survive, but she's going to ensure that her calf survives. It's quite a stirring sight to behold sometimes.
Well, it's the strong will to live, and the cow will really work to have that calf. She won't give up.
A strong will to live and survive is a necessary trait if a breed is going to be productive. Marcel Rondeau is a retired professor of agriculture who now works as a livestock judge.
They are a vibrant, vital animal. And what you need, especially with young animals, get up and go the first 20 minutes to the first half hour of its birth. Because, as Mr. Dwight Howard will tell you, one of the areas where these animals really excel is the will to live. Yeah, I've seen animals that you thought would never live overnight. The next morning they'll be up running around.
I think belted Galloways have a gene somewhere within them which says, I'm going to, no matter what the conditions are, I'm going to survive.
As our crew discovered, part of this will to survive is a superior foraging ability. Belties actively investigate anything that might be food. And this ability also helps them get the most out of rugged pasture.
Belties seem to just not to be deterred at all by the terrain, and they are willing to live in it, go after anything that they can to eat within it.
And this is where maybe they shine more than many of the others, because they can survive on marginal land. So personally, this is one of the big factors, because if you're going to be purchasing expensive concentrates, fancy hay to put pounds on the basic carcass, you haven't done anything.
They can really go over any rough ground to get those little blades of grass that are here and there in the rocks. They will go a great distance each day if they have to get that feed. Just the will to live, they will go and find the food rather than stand around waiting for you to feed them.
The belted Galloway breed also owes its superior productivity to good health and hardy design.
My experience has been they're extremely disease resistant. I've had belted Galloways for 10 years, and I've never lost one to a disease.
In fact, I have never seen a case of foot rot in the belted Galloway breed. And that may be the exception to the rule. But that's part of their hardiness, is that they are able to resist some of those disease problems that other breeds aren't able to resist as easily.
In 24 years that I've been here, we've probably had to trim maybe 12 head in that 12 years. So they're very good on their feet and legs. It's the way they was bred in Scotland. They had to, because they was known as the Scottish hill cattle. And they had to forage. It's been bred into them.
The Belties came from Scotland, where winters are harsh with icy and wet weather. This rugged land demanded a beef breed that could not only survive, but put on meat in adverse conditions. An animal that had the feet and legs to easily walk over rocks and hills. An animal with the will to hunt for sparse vegetation during bad weather, and eat grasses other cattle would refuse. And there was no room for deformities and genetic defects. These animals had to be hardy and healthy, because weakness and disease meant death. Belties were bred in a survival of the fittest fashion, to be the kind of cattle the Scottish people needed. And they were such a successful breed, they earned the nickname the hill cattle of Scotland. In the past, beef cattle were bred to supply animal fats and tallows for candles and other necessities. But today, people are concerned about fat and cholesterol, and Belties provide health-conscious consumers the quality beef they demand.
They don't put on a lot of excess fat like a lot of the older breeds did. They're beginning now to breed these other cattle so they are leaner, but these cattle have always been lean. But yet they will be marbled good enough so that you can have a really good piece of meat. I never have yet used anything but a table knife to cut my steak.
Most of the British breeds grow or use for insulation a layer of fat. And that's your most common breeds, that's what they're used to protect themselves in the winter under harsh conditions. And belted Galloways are unique in the sense that they don't use a layer of fat, they use their coat in order to protect them from the harsh environment.
There are two layers of fur or hair on a Beltie. The outer one is the one that protects from the outer elements. We're talking about rain, the snow, the cold winds. But the inner one works almost like down on your sleeping bag. Now this is what keeps you warm. This is why they need 30% less forage just to maintain body heat.
That long hair seems to really pay off for them because they don't mind the cold, and yet they can take the heat too, which is something that a lot of cattle can't.
In fact, they'll lay down in the snow. You'll see a foot of snow on their backs, and there's so much insulation it doesn't melt. In a pouring rain, you turn the hair underneath and it's dry.
The animals in the Midwest that have ice storms, the losses are tremendous from that type of environment. I've seen Belties time and time again come up in the morning loaded with snow, covered with ice, shake it off and walk away. And they're as fit as any animal that I've ever seen.
They can adapt themselves to any climate, so it doesn't make any difference where you are, whether you're in the south or up in Alaska. they have the ability to adapt themselves.
In the cattle raising business, the bottom line is money. The belted Galloway breed has traits that make it economically sound. One of the most important traits is longevity.
Your Belties, many of these cows are around here and they're getting 8, 10, 12, 14 offsprings. Because there it is, it's monetary. Because you must remember, to raise an animal to an age that will be old enough to drop a calf on the ground, you're talking, depending on your taxes and whatever, anywhere from $600 to $1,000. Now, if you get 1 or 2 calves out of it, it's money that's gone. But longevity, now spread over many years, all of a sudden this cow, all you have is upkeep.
Another trait that makes Belties economical is their ability to use feed more productively than other breeds.
I think the industry is in trouble if it looks at the expense through the entire food chain of converting energy into feed and then feeding animals. And I think what the industry, similar to the trend really toward more rational agriculture in the sense of less fertilizers, less inputs, if they can develop a way to bring beef, good quality beef, to the dinner table at a more economical price, that's really got to be the goal. And I think that's the goal of every farmer. And I think that the Galloway breed as a whole brings a set of traits and attributes that can enhance that. It might not be the total answer, but it's probably part of the puzzle that is going to get completed.
If I was going to be a backyard farmer, and I wanted to buy 10 steers, this way here I'm going to keep and improve my land. I'm going to have some meat for my freezer, and I'm going to have something to sell to my neighbors. And I go to an auction. There's all the different breeds. But you can buy these Belties for the same price. It's not a rich man's hobby. You can buy excellent Belties for the same basic price.
And for many people that would like to have a few animals, they have 10 or 12 acres, would like to have a few animals to clean up the acreage, would like to have them there for the aesthetics, would like to have pets. You can raise them, finish them, you can have them slotted and put them in your freezer. They're the ideal breed for that. And certainly encourage anyone to go out and make arrangements to buy one tomorrow. So.
Belted Galloways are in the same price range as most other breeds. Also, Belties can improve existing herds in crossbreeding programs. At the USDA's experiment station in Clay City, Nebraska, researchers are looking at ways that Galloway crossbreeding can improve American beef production. Belted Galloway genes tend to be dominant, and the quality traits in Belties can be easily passed to hybrids.
The key features are that if you breed a Belted Galloway to another breed, is that it'll come out polled, no horns. That's a real positive trait. You don't have horns to deal with, don't have the expensive dehorning or the problems that horns can cause in transit or danger to human life. The other thing is you'll have strong feet on an animal. Generally, you're just not going to have any problems. You also can pass along a lot of those traits, the disease resistance, which Belties seem to have. You can pass along the will to live, the desire to get up every morning and go about your business of eating, which is what you want beef animals to do. You want them to eat and grow. And of course, you'll also pass along the hair characteristics, which can't do anything but help an animal survive.